Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WOR Round 7. We are in America for the Circuit of the Americas, the lovely 20-corner circuit we've got at Austin, Texas. I am joined this week by the incredible Ross Greenhorn. Ross, Greenhorn, I'm not sure what I'm going to call you throughout the stream. It might end up being Ross Horn at this point, but I'm not 100% sure. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, no, welcome along for your Tier 1 crossplay debut.
The journey along myself and Gareth is going to be another exciting race in crossplay. Tier 1 last week was jam-packed, full of incidents, full of collisions, but in the end it was walked away on track by PSR Sav, and with the Stewards report after it, PSR Sav did indeed take that race win against only time this season we've had a second race winner. So consecutive runs of different race winners sadly came to an end with PSR Sav picking up that second win of the season, but nevertheless, it was still a fantastic race, and then Racer will be happy to take that podium along with PSR Rebellion, and then LRKK jumping himself up into P4 after the Stewards report.
Yeah, look, we're looking at the last week's race final 10 positions anyway, as Aurelian in third there, as Keke, Sam Gamer Official, Stefano, Matthew Hall, PSR Kian, who has massively lost out in the championship battle, and we will look at that. Look at 72 points for Sav, Kai on 58, Fezzo on 51. They are on track for tonight's race. They're currently in short qualifying, so we'll head on over very, very shortly. But quickly, from what we were speaking earlier on, Ross, was very much the case of it. Even though Sav got a big haul of points last time out, it's still anyone's game.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is still a very, very wide open championship. Also, you see on your screen now, Kai still behind on 58 points with Fezzo. There's 7 points behind Kai, with Kian still in about that 50 range, just 47, and Matthew Hall 45. And Racer 44. Yeah, that top 6 still very, very close. One good race for the wall can really turn up this championship fight. Also, Sav does have a little bit of a gap to Kai behind him, but yeah, as you said, Gareth, it's going to be a very interesting way to see how this season really ends up. You can see we jump on to the qualifying now. Sav currently top of the leaderboard with 31.2. Fezzo and Matthew Hall just in behind now, with Fezzo at the 31.4, Matthew Hall with 31.5. Mubarak also in the 0.5s, along with a lot of the grid. Liam Bowman, the reserve, up there in P6. Not really trusting McLaren this week, but I'm sure he won't be too bothered. He's out on track, currently sat in P6.
Yeah, he'll be happy that Liam Bowman. I know there's going to be more time to gain from him as well. He's such a quick qualifier, and yeah, time will tell for him. But in the McLaren of Shazoo, Rick right now, as he's coming through the final parts of the track through into turn 19 and 20, and it's looking like those flashing beacon on the back there, so he's going to throw himself into the pits. We are going to get our 20th driver join in through qualifying at some point soon. Hopefully, I believe it's Barra Q that is coming in, and we'll make this grid full. Like I mentioned earlier, it is a sprint race as well, so we've got 28 laps of a feature race, but before that, we've got 10 laps of a sprint race as well. Sprint races, the only one this season as well, always bring up a little bit of a surprise here in WOR. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. And you get a prime seat here, Ross, for this one, don't you? You've got it's a pretty decent track. You've got a sprint race and a feature race. You're getting it all at once. All we need now in the feature race is for it to rain as well.
That would be quite the spectacle, to be fair. That would be quite interesting to see. But yeah, as you said, the sprint races, he's full of everything. So obviously this short qualifying will only determine the pole position for starting on the front row of the sprint race, and the sprint race obviously confirms the official grid for the race. But yeah, as you said, still some good points to pick up in that sprint race. The winner receiving 8 points, second place 7. So in terms of championship fight, those front runners are like Kai, like Sav, along with Kian as well, they've got to be picking up those crucial points for the championship and just keeping it interesting between the rest of them in that midfield. Matthew Hall starting off strongly in the qualifying as well. You said a pretty disappointing one in the end for him last time out in Abu Dhabi. That late collision with Kian in the end did end up costing him and dropped him a few positions, but he'll be looking to bounce back today, and hopefully he can pick up some good points and keep that championship hope alive.
Are we going to see a little bit of tactics from some of these drivers tonight, not using as many tyres through the qualifying session to keep a set maybe for the race, or are we just going to see business as usual as we see OP Mobarak come out on track in the Mercedes?
Yeah, we could see, the twisty tactics between the two. Also, Sav and Kai being a part of the same team outside of here with Paradox Sim Racing. They can really see they maybe work together a bit more and try and see if they can pull away from the pack. And also, it'll be any man's game for who wants to take that race victory the most. You said Mubarak out on track. Currently, he's just in behind his Mercedes teammate of Matthew Hall. This front three all involved in this top 6 championship fight. Sav also leading the way, as we said. Fezzle recently this week, I've seen, left Paradox Sim Racing and joined Parnell Racing. So that'll be an interesting one to see. Also, had not disbanded from the PSR name, now a part of the Parnell name. That'll be another interesting one to see if he can, battle harder against these guys. Usually, must have been a little bit, maybe not as aggressive as being a part of the team, want to keep spirits high. But being on a new team, he's got nothing to lose and want to win the championship is exactly what you want to do.
Definitely. And you know what? Maybe it's a good thing having one of the top drivers in WR Tier 1 crossplay moving from a dominant force, which appears to be PSR at the moment. Very, very strong. But OP Mubarak then is just about to start his lap time. The Mercedes duo looking very, very quick at this present moment in time. But you can never count out the two Red Bulls. They locked out the front row of the grid for so long in this season on qualifying. That was a bit of a surprise last week for the first time that we didn't have a Red Bull on the front row of the grid. Can we see that happen again tonight, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't count out any of these drivers from not taking pole. So during the season, Savs took pole 3 times, Kai twice, now Liam Bowman added to that list. The race also didn't go as nice as he would have wanted to. But yeah, as you said, it will be an interesting one to see who can claim that pole position. Sav currently clear by about a tenth and a half to PR Fezzle behind. He's going to be starting off his lap very soon. You can see we've got a very busy sector 3 behind us, Gareth. You can see everyone's queuing up behind you. You need to spread out a bit because you don't want to be getting yourself caught between the driver ahead of you, otherwise you're picking up a bit of dirty air. I mean, maybe a good slipstream down the straight, but the dirty air through that, especially that first sector with the fast S section that's based around the Maggots Beckett's Chapel section of Britain. It's going to be an interesting one to see how the qualifiers going. You see a very busy track, sector 3, very, very busy indeed. Tesco car park, indeed in that last sector, a couple of drivers just getting started. The 2 Haas cars of Liam Bowman and Benza being some of them, but they all fly on through this first sector. PSR Aurelian leading the way, coming down this back straight now. He is already a tenth and a half down though on his lap.
Yeah, PSR Aurelian, McLaren driver for this week. He's a P9, I think last week, I don't want to say last week flattened to be. It's one of those weird ones where very much I'm trying to put the words correctly. Otherwise I don't want to upset people. But other people had mistakes or were caught in incidents which other drivers benefited from. It doesn't mean he just shouldn't be up there or the driver shouldn't be up that high, but we're missing quite a few drivers towards the top after some incidents, weren't we?
Yeah, no, we were. You've seen also Keane got caught up in a couple of instances with Liam Bowman and also with Matthew Hall later on as well. But as you said, he kept his nose clean. It's exactly what Aurelian did. He made sure that he got caught up in no incidents with everyone else, and he just made sure that he was clean all the way throughout. He made sure that he was still strong enough and he was still keeping it clean all the way throughout. Aurelian is... he's currently in P9, looking strong so far. Top 10 is what you want to see from these drivers. And then, yeah, but as you said though, it was quite a shock. To be fair, you're not wrong there. You're not really annoying anyone saying that. It was a shock P3. It's first time on the podium this season, but yeah, no, definitely a driver to look out for during these last races of the season.
Sav is only 0.048 up on his lap time. It'll be enough to displace Matthew Hall, who's just gone provisionally pole at this moment in time at the Circuit of the Americas. Liam Bowman's thrown himself to P4 at the moment. I'm certain there's a little bit more time for him to gain here. I've got a little bit of a Liam Bowman bandwagon trait about me at the moment. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can go further up. PSR Kai throws himself P9 with M Racer in 9th there, but PSR Sav does go quickest. It wasn't as quick as he wanted, I don't think, because Matthew Hall is still there or thereabouts, but it's looking very, very close at the top end of the standings right now, with the 2 Williams of Choco and Axe in 11th and 12th, respectively there. Pretty decent lap time from Sav, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. A 0.2 in the middle of the session is exactly what you want to see from the Red Bull driver. Matthew Hall still in P2 as well. He's also into that 0.2 range, so I was looking at those two. Could be the favourites for a pole position. Faisal maybe had a bit of a mistake in his lap. He's currently in the 0.3s. Liam Bowman, though, he'll be happy to be up there in P4. A 31.4 is also a strong showing by the Haas driver Mubarak as well. The two pad drivers, and Liam Bowman and Mubarak, two arguably the strongest pad drivers on their each respected consoles. So, yeah, it's really good to see the diversity of the pad really showing, the pad technology of and introduced this game is really showing off at a track where usually the wheel is quite strong.
Yeah, historically a wheel track here in America, but it's working out quite well for those drivers at the moment. I don't know if Louis Valentine is on a lap time. He pulls over a little bit, maybe to show he isn't. Is that the two Red Bulls there going very, very slowly, close together on track, but not close together in the timing screen at the moment. PSR Kai's a little bit off pace.
Yeah, no, we're not used to seeing Kai down in that midfield pack, currently trailing behind his teammate on track. No one really on a lap. Everyone will be into the pit lane except Mubarak. He was out nice and early, make sure he doesn't get caught up in any sort of traffic on his lap. But yeah, no, not used to seeing Kai down in P9. Maybe not a strong track we usually see from the man sat in P2 in the driver's standings. Racer, our podium sitter last week in P2, he's up there just ahead of him in P8. But you know, I'm sure Kai will be focusing up for this last short qualifying lap and really seeing if he can jump up to where it really should be up there in the top three.
Now, I'm going to pose the question and to yourself a little bit after I've said it, so hopefully it gives you enough time to think on who you guys think is going to be on pole. Ross, the same question is going to you as well, but as Mubarak starts his lap into turn one, he's currently P5. He's not... Well, he's 0.3 of a second away from the pole sitter, which is Sav at this moment in time. But chat, yeah, let us know who you think's going to be the guy that stands out at the end. Is it going to be Sav or Matthew Hall, the two that are there at the moment? Or are we going to see something from Kian, Kai, or even any of the other drivers out there really do something special at this Circuit of America's track? Ross, who's your bet on at the moment?
I think just judging by the current performance, I think PSR Sav is definitely the outright favourite for me. I think he's definitely got a 0.1 in him. Maybe even if he hooks it up nicely, a 0.0 could be shown by the man leading the championship. Leading the standings, a strong race last week, really trying to go for that 2 in a row in terms of race wins. Maybe even trying to make it a grand slam if he can win that sprint race as well. But Mubarak on that lap there, running a bit wide and getting it invalidated in the middle of sector 2 towards the end of sector 3. So that is... yeah, it's unfortunate for Mubarak. I think that might be the end of the session for the man in the Mercedes. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get back in the pits and get back out, but if so, P5 at best for Mubarak.
That's not ideal for him at all. He would have been wanting just that little bit more from that, and I think that is going to be his teammate going to be setting the next lap very, very quickly. The two Alpha Tauris just behind him, and there's an Alfa Romeo in the background as well. But it's going to be Matthew Hall that sets the first lap of these final runners, as long as he can keep it within the white lines. And it is usually at that point in the track, it's going off at turn 12. Anywhere in sector 1, you can lose, you can invalidate your lap time. And at the exit of turn 19, if you're pushing that little bit too hard, you can go a little bit over there as well. So there is areas on this track that the drivers have to be really careful at.
Yeah, 100%. You just got to make sure you're in between those white lines at all times. As you said, turn 19, quite a favourable validation spot for drivers. Running that little bit wide on exit costs you a lot of time and also costs you that invalidating lap anyway. But Matthew Hall rounding out the final second last corner now towards the final corner for his final flying lap attempt. You can see everyone but Stefano and obviously Mubarak has finished off his out in the out lap and going to be starting off their final lap. Matthew Hall though, towards he goes. You see the 133 foot rise up towards turn 1 at this tight hairpin area. A very favourable overtaking spot up the inside is usually the usual spot for overtaking though. You can see getting nice traction on exit down towards this fast S section inspired by the Maggots Beckett's Chapel section over in Silverstone. Through he goes now. You can see ahead of him cars getting out the way, avoid, make sure he doesn't get involved in this lap. He's looking to see if he can jump on top, but he's down in that first sector by about half a 10. If you're looking to hook up the second sector and possibly see if he can get a lot more time in the third to jump on pole, but he's invalidated. He's ran wide on the entry, the start of sector 2. He's ran wide, and that'll be it for Matthew Hall on his final qualifying lap run.
No higher than P2 for Matthew Hall in this qualifying. And let's go on board straight away then to PSR Kian. Then what can he do in all this? His teammate PSR Max is behind, and these guys will be wanting desperately to get themselves higher than they currently are. P6 for this man, though. He's going to want to do a little bit more than that, see if he can jump Mobarak, who hasn't been able to set a proper lap time. I think he had 2 runs late there as Mobarak has retired from the session. In the background there, it looks like Stefano has just gone straight into a wall. I'm not sure what's happened to the Aston Martin driver, but it's not ideal. Qualifying is done. The checkered flag has been flown there, but PSR Kian, he's desperate to do something as he's hurling his way through this really special long right-hander into the left-hander of turn 19 into turn 20. Is it going to be enough to do anything on this time around of asking? It's enough only for P4.
That is decent enough for PSR Key, and who's next? Of course, it's going to be the Alfa Romeo. It'll be OP Louis Valentine, no sort of rider Dow, and he only stays in P14. That's crossing YI Choco into P7. He goes, and next be the McLaren of PSR Aurelian. Can he improve his lap from P13? The podium sitter last week is P7 for PSR Aurelian. Behind him, who else is on a lap? Our current pole sitter PSR Sav nowhere. Fezzo invalidated on that lap run as well. Matthew Hall also into the pit lane. He's also messed up his lap. Liam Bowman seems to have messed up in his lap. He's going slow down the back straight. The Aston Martin Shizou Tom yet to get a lap on the board. He's invalidated, and we P19 ahead of him as well. Shizou Rick also coming through the last corner now. Can Shizou Rick jump up now? He stays in P17 with no improvement. Next across the line should be, I believe, the Red Bull PSR Kai. He's messed up. He's messed up in the second last corner. He's gone straight on, missed the apex completely, and has caused himself a best position. He's going to be P11 starting off in the sprint. That's so unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Louis Valentine into the pit lane. XF1 stays P13. What a disappointment though for drivers like Shizou Tom and also PSR Max. They're in P16, Gareth.
This is, well, Shizou Tom maybe trying a special last to first challenge for us tonight. It's got a lot of work on his hands if he's going to do that. But in Kai, that was really uncharacteristic of PSR Kai through turns 13 to 15. It looked like the back end was stepping out. Maybe he's chosen the wrong setup for this track. Maybe it's just not settled for him at the moment. Caesar saying in the chat that Kai may have got blocked. I'm assuming that's what his intentions were there with that message. But yeah, not ideal. And Kai down in 11th. That's a lot of work to do for the man who is, well, his championship rival and teammate is currently leading the qualifying session. I'll quickly run down the order, and then I'll ask you your thoughts on the session there, Ross. But yeah, Sav from Matthew Hall, who invalidated that lap at the end, and it didn't matter. He still keeps second place. Third is Fesso Kian in fourth. Fifth is Liam Bowman. Mobarak in sixth. Seventh to PSR Aurelian. Choco in eighth. Ninth to Volokokun. I may have said that incorrectly. M Racer in 10th. Kai in 11th. Louis Valentine in 12th. 13th going to Axe F1. Benza in 14th. 15th to Ryder Dahl. PSR Max in 16th. Stefano in 17th. 18th to Shizou Rick and Shizou Tom at 19th, with Baraku joining a bit later on. But what a weird one that we've seen there, Ross. That was a bit underwhelming at the end of that qualifying session.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic from a lot of these drivers. Really, only one improvement in the whole of the top six. Mubarak said P6. Liam Bowman messed up in the first sector. PSR Keem is the only one in that top six to actually improve on his lap into P4 early and jump up into P7 as well. He'll be looking to try and build what was a fantastic race last week. Vola Kongen in P9 as well, getting a good start for the Alpines. Choco, good start for him as well in P8. But yeah, no, a mixture of drivers down below that you're not used to seeing. PSR Max, XF1, Louis Valentine, PSR Kai, the big one as well, but as you said, possibly blocked on that lap. That is going to be that probably will be reviewed by the stewards, but currently starting P11. Not great for the man sitting P2 in the championship with his main championship rival on pole. You've got to think Kai has got to get a move on in this sprint race.
He definitely's got to get a move on. It's slipping away a little bit with that. Well, if that is anything to be said. But from what you've seen in qualifying, how do you think the sprint race is going to go, Ross? Who's going to be the one really to watch? Is Sav going to be able to pull away from Matthew Hall, or are we going to see those two having a little bit of a ding dong?
It's all about turn one, Gareth. It's all about turn one. If Matthew Hall gets a good start, he may out to the inside line early on PSR. Sav Fezzo as well can about that battle. It's just such a close grid in that top 10. You know, him racing on the podium last week, Aurelian podium last week, Sav winning last week as well. So yeah, all these drivers on some decent form. Liam Bowman on pole last week. You'll be looking at a jump from P5 as well. So you just don't know. You truly just don't know who's going to pick up this win. But I think going off of that qualifying, PSR Sav definitely looking at the strongest driver so far.
Yeah, Sav's looking really, really good. A tale of two sides, really, in the Red Bull garage. I know we've spoken that quite a lot, really, for the Red Bull guys, but a little bit further down the order, you know, PSR Max, the AlphaTauri driver, he's not going to be happy down there in 16th place.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one to come back from. You just try and gain as many positions as possible in that P16 spots and nothing to lose, so you really just got to go for it. Obviously, top 8 only score points in this race. With all drivers really needing points at this stage, getting as many points as they can for their championship fight, it really will be interesting to see how drivers like Matthew Hall, Kean, and even including Aurelian as well can really gain points and put themselves back into some sort of championship fight, maybe even just move themselves up higher in the driver standings.
We'll have a quick look at the standings while we'll wait for the drivers to get themselves onto the grid, and it might be a very quick onto the grid with knowing how this game doesn't give us really a warning anymore when things are happening. But look at that, Sav got that 14-point lead over his teammate. Fezzo's only 7 points down from Kai, and he had that DNF last time round. Definitely one to watch, Fezzo, and Kian then there as well. But we are going to be racing. We're on 3, 4, 5 red lights here at the Circuit of the Americas, and we are underway, and it looks like a pretty decent start. A lot of the drivers are on medium compound tyres there, but Sav covers over Matthew Hall desperately over there. Fezzo trying to get involved around the outside. Up the inside goes Mobarak into 3rd place, but he's dropping like a stone after that. But it's all as you were at the top of the standings there, but a really interesting start from the Mercedes and Mobarak, who went up the inside and now down into 9th place. He's dropped 3 positions, not ideal at all, as the leaders for the top 5 didn't change places.
Yeah, no, good getaway for the front 5. Aurelian moving himself up into P6, but yeah, Mubarak just too hot on the brakes into turn 1. He couldn't slow the car down and now drops himself into P10. He's up the inside, goes Louis Valentine on 2 drivers, going for it on Volakongan as well, but doesn't get that move done. Louis Valentine promotes himself into P9, overtaking Mubarak. M-Racer is wheel to wheel Mubarak down the straight. He's not using any battery to try and battle along with Mubarak, but he might be late on the brakes. Louis Valentine is using that ERS on this first lap and getting by Volakongan in P8 and Keynes on P8. M-Racer back up the inside at the P10 and Mubarak back down at P11. What a hectic start. Kai still down in P12. Actifon promoting himself. PSR Max though, he's at the back. He's had a spin and he's in P20 all the way down at the back of the field. Jesus Tom as well must have been caught up in an incident. It's Choco getting overtaken by Louis Valentine, who's really trying to make some overtakes on this opening lap on that soft compounded tyre. The only man actually on the soft compounded tyre, everyone, actually never mind, OP Benza as well is also on the soft tyre. So Louis Valentine really getting moved on early and promoting himself up back into the points already.
They're going to have to look after those tyres at the end of this Grand Prix. Very, very much so, but a very, very hectic start. Benza trying to get through. Here comes Louis Valentine up the inside of Choco. He wants to do something, and he's up there, and it's a really, well, a standard move up into turn 1, and Choco has nothing he can do to defend against that. There is a yellow flag as Max has retired from the session. I think he had a little bit of an incident at the hairpin of turn 11. We'll go back up to the leaders as Matthew Hall is really chasing Sav with Fezzo in tow as well, but Kian can't keep up, and Kai hasn't made any moves stick at all. And just a shout out to Joseph, who is watching at the moment. Thank you for tuning in and seeing how your good friend Ross is handling the pressure for tonight, but also for saying that take a shot every time you see marbles on the tyre. I think we just have to say take a shot every time you say marbles, Joseph.
That'd be a good one. Get the front row. Matthew Hall really close to the back of PSR Sav in towards the hairpin there, but no movement from those two at the front. PR Fezzo just biding his time behind them as well. Yellow flag. That is Max's retired car, unfortunately, back out on track. Very unfortunate start for him, getting caught up in that incident. He's obviously just had enough of that and called it a day in the pit lane for the sprint race. Now 8 laps to go though. Liam Bowman still in that midfield pack, closing behind PSR Kane, though he's been dropped out of the DRS race. Anything out between himself and Kai up on the inside, nothing happening there, but yeah, no movement so far on track. But PSR Sav still leading the way from Matthew Hall and PR Fezzo.
Yeah, I think Liam Bowman is worried about Kian dropping from this front three. I think Liam Bowman's got the overall pace, but Fezzo at the moment is looking like the one to maybe make an overtake out that top three, because he's all over. Or he was all over the back of Matthew Hall. But I think there's, as per like normal in WOR, each driver has a section of the track that they are quicker at. We found it at Zandvoort, we found it at Abu Dhabi, where when they get into their section, they are absolutely rapid and pull away. But here comes Matthew Hall. Does he go to the inside? He does go to the inside for the lead of this Grand Prix. And he's past Sav. And Sav tries a switchback. More of a half-hearted switchback on the Mercedes, because he knows he's going to get him a bit later on in the race.
Yeah, the games have already started between Sav and Matthew Hall for that DRS. They know how powerful that is. Down that back straight, that long back straight towards the hairpin corner. You know, the inside line was picked early on by Matthew Hall, and through he went. So, yeah, another 7 laps of this, lads. That would be perfect to see. A good bit of battle between these two. But Fezzo can definitely be entered back into this battle as well. They've seen a massive overall battery difference between Sav and Matthew. Matthew Hall on 55%, Sav on 76%. So, yeah, Matthew Hall not got a lot more to defend with, other than trying to see what he can do down the straight. You can see Sav really gaining on Matthew Hall into turn 1, but no manoeuvres happening so far up in it there in that hairpin corner, raising 133 feet in towards that first corner. But Liam Bowen, as you said, also looking very strong, full battery on his car, but yeah, just not had the momentum through the hairpins to really get the move done on keying ahead.
Let's go a little bit further down on the sister Red Bull car. Oh, he's just struggling right now, down in 11th place, unable to find a way past M Racer, who finished second in last week's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, who are just behind Wolf Koken in P9 as well, who's having a pretty decent race here in WOR. But it's all pretty stalemated at the moment. We will go back to the leaders as they go down this long back straight into turn 12 and see how this one will pan out. Whether Sav will make the move. It looks like he's going to the inside. Matthew Hall does not defend.
Yeah, didn't expect him to defend too hard right now. You can see they're just going to keep swapping positions until that very last lap, where you might see some defending come out between whoever's in lead, between Sav or between Matthew, or maybe even between Fezzo, if he decides to try and get past these two ahead of him as well. But yeah, just not a lot of movement so far. The DRS range really starting to form between everyone. Got a train all the way from first down to P18 with Barracu, as you do, Tom, out of that DRS. In P19, 2.8 seconds back to the train is definitely a hard one to try and regain with everyone else ahead in the DRS range. But maybe the soft tyre runners, including Louis Valentine, could be dropping off very soon. I know the soft tyre isn't great around USA, but he's got DRS to try and come down the straight, keep him in the train, and see if he can keep in the points. Well, the top 8 is all you get for points. Right now, Vola Kong and M Racer will not be getting points, but they will be starting in the point position for the race coming after this. So 5 more laps to go, though. PSR Sav and Matthew Hall will probably swap positions at the end of this lap as well, and they'll keep doing that for the next few.
I wonder whether there'll be a little bit of mind games coming into play. Maybe Matthew Hall or Sav a little bit later on. As I say, a little bit later on, there's not much time left for these guys, but to maybe miss a lap of overtaking just to make the other driver think, or I suppose though, as a driver, you always want to be leading a race, don't you? So it's going to be interesting. But going on your race engineering expertise here, what would you be telling either Sav or Matthew Hall in this position right now?
It's just a case of just swapping positions, you know, just get close, make the overtake. You see it this time again, Matthew Hall back up the inside on Sav. Now he gets through the race for lap 5, so yeah, it's just a big cat and mouse game, isn't it, between these two, between Matthew Hall and PSR Sav. It's just a case of who can be ahead towards the last lap. You want to really be in the DRS range for the last lap, but you want to make sure that you've got the battery as well to be ahead and also defend from, if you need to, the man behind. So Sav right now is in behind, so he'll be saving the ERS, using the DRS to his advantage and getting by Matthew Hall on the next lap. If we keep going like this, though, I believe on the last lap it'll be Matthew Hall out of DRS, and then Sav will have the DRS advantage. But Liam Bowman, crucially, 3-second time penalty for too many warnings, cutting the track too many times over the white line. 3-second time penalty, that's a big one, because that will drop him all the way down to about P11.
Not ideal, and not, well, out of the points in this sprint race as well, but or crucially out of anything else. And I think in the background there we see Axe F1 overtaking Benza. The soft tyres looking like they're struggling a little bit. Louis Valentine really struggling to keep up with the McLaren ahead of him. Aurelian in a little bit of trouble himself. He's nowhere near Liam Bowman. Liam Bowman will be wanting that gap to go up and up and up and up. And hopefully for him that will happen. But Aurelian is no slouch. But look how much of a struggle Louis Valentine is. is having through the Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel sector of this Grand Prix. I mean, I know it's not Maggots and Beckett's, but he's really struggling, isn't he? And he's just had a little bit of a love tap there from Choco.
Yeah, you can see them just really tussling hard against each other down the straight. Liam Bowman finally making that move on PSR. Cian down the back straight. He's picked his moment now, and he knows he's got that 3-second time limit, so he must get a move on. Tell you what, though, this time, Gareth, no overtake between Sav and Matthew Hall. Matthew Hall now got the DRS for another lap during this race. Big movement at the back between Stefano, Benza, Rick and Ryderdal. I'm not sure what's happened there. Ryderdal back up the inside though. On to Rick for P17. Rick got that inside line for the next corner though. He's going to hold that inside line and probably get the move done again for P16. Ryderdal doesn't hold it around the outside, and Rick pulls himself back into P16. But after a snap on exit, it's going to Ryderdal the perfect chance to hold it all the way around the outside. Through the last corner now, through turn 18, and look towards the last two corners of the track. Ryderdal can't get that move done again, and Rick takes P16, and Benza crucially picks up with a 3-second time penalty as well.
Not ideal with the tyres he is on, and that could be, well, I say costly. I think it was a mistake maybe going on to those tyres. Louis Valentine holding on at the moment. Trucko has left the session. That's not ideal for him. Shazoo Tom is really struggling. He's 4.6 seconds off. I wonder if he's had any incidents through all that. But Fezzo looked like he was trying to get a move done on Sav around the outside as they were heading into turn 12. But crucially, like you mentioned, actually, that's big news. Fezzo, 3-second time penalty. This podium isn't set in stone right now.
No, especially not after that 3-second time penalty. That's a massive moment. This could really promote PSR Cian if he can keep that P5. He's got Aurelian now for some company. Obviously, now you can see him with that low battery between Cian and Aurelian. Aurelian on 35, Cian also in that 30 range as well. Liam Bowman coming down the straight. See Fezzo maybe looking for the overtake now. Sapo the inside. Fezzo makes it 3 wide down the straight. Fezzo's up the inside. He's going to get that move done for the lead of the race. He's got the 3-second time penalty, but that does not stop him taking the lead of the race on lap 7.
What a move from PR Fezzo. He's desperate to make a name for himself this season, and he's doing just that. A double overtake going into turn 12. Obviously had the help of a double slipstream effect and DRS effect there. But Matthew Hall will be wondering, how the hell do I get myself back into P1 after such an incredible move there? And it feels like holding on to that position for one extra lap actually has done more harm than good for him.
Yeah, no, he really thought maybe he just sits behind and just watches on from Fezzo and Sav, but now he just thinks, you know what, I'm going to just take that overtake now, and you see it's actually lost him a bit of time. Sav 5.5 tenths back on Fezzo now into turn 1. 2 laps to go though in this race, Gareth. It's really shaping up to be a great ending here. Fezzo penalty, Liam Bowman penalty. This is going to give Sav and Matthew Hall the big battle they need to see who can take the race win and take that 8 points crucially for the championship. Because I tell you what, PSR Kai is looking like he's going to get no points in this sprint race.
He's managed to get himself into P10, but that's only one position gain. That's not ideal at all. And he's having to hold off a very, very strong Mobarak in the background there. But I tell you what, Fezzo is not hanging around. He's 0.6 of a second up, 0.7 of a second up on PSR Sav. He was really just waiting in the wings, and he's decided to bolt. It may be a little bit too little too late on that, but he's doing a very, very good job of bolting away from Sav and Matthew Hall, and I wonder how this is going to affect. Look at the gap. That's the largest gap we've seen as we come down into turn 12.
Yeah, he's really using that battery now, Fezzo, to gain that advantage on Sav. He knows if he can gain on Sav and just burn everything he's got, he can maybe get a gap to the guys behind him, possibly still steal some points already in this sprint race. You know, every point counts when you're in that championship fight, and Fezzo's really trying to prove what he can do and get that pace sorted between himself and Sav. Sav's got a bit more battery though to try and attack Fezzo with when he feels like doing it. I'll say Fezzo in the 25% range out in front with that 3-second time penalty. Liam Bowman in the 40s, along with Matthew Hall actually matching Liam Bowman directly to the exact number of VRS as well. But lap 9 starting off now. PR Fezzo leading the way. Sav P2, Matthew Hall P3. This really could be an interesting one to finish out. Maybe this could be the lap though that Sav gets past and uses that barrier to his advantage, and maybe gets a gap to Matthew Hall behind and confirms that 8-point race win for the sprint.
That's what he needs. It'll be 8 further points than his nearest rival, which is Kai, if it does go that way. But Sav has pulled away. He's followed Fezzo through this. We are on the penultimate lap, so there's still plenty of time to go. Still time for drivers to get penalty. We've seen 3 penalties in this race already. It doesn't mean that we won't see another one. Liam Bowman's just able to keep up with Matthew Hall at the moment, but it's all starting to just grow out a little bit, the gaps between these front runners. And Fezzo again, 0.8 of a second He's just dropped a bit, but he's really pushing in just before that DRS zone, and it just drops Sav a little bit.
Yeah, you can just see that straight line speed advantage that he's using, the battery advantage that Fezzo was using down the straight. Sav not using at all. He's got 75% to use on this final lap. As the penultimate lap has been a clean lap from Sav. He's kept it nice and close to Fezzo ahead. And now, coming on to the final lap, Fezzo's got to do all the defending if he wants to try and keep ahead of Sav. Matthew Holders, Fezzo runs wide through the next corner, through turn 16 there. Fezzo runs wide, but he gets back up the inside of PSR Sav. This gives Matthew Hall a chance to gain some time back on PSR Sav. What a big moment that was. Fezzo ran very wide through turn 16, and now look at that. Sav is very close to the back of Fezzo, and Matthew Hall as well. Might eye up the overtake up into turn 1 here on the final lap.
Oh, goodness me. When one thing happens, another. It is so close at this Circuit of America's Grand Prix sprint race as well. We've still got a feature race to come. Here comes Sav. Does he think anything of it? He doesn't. He stays behind Fezzo for the time being. I was very critical of Louis Valentine going on the softs, but look at that. He's managing to just hold on to point-scoring positions here, and it might even work for him. Sav, Fezzo, Matthew Hall, and Liam Bowman very close together. We can't really say who's going to win this one out of Sav and Sav and Matthew Hall. It's going to be very close. We've seen Fezzo do a double overtake go into turn 12. Can we see Matthew Hall do the same, or can Sav hold it off? This is going to be an entertaining finish to this one, isn't it?
It's so close at the front. Fezzo mistake. Through the hairpin they come. Sav's got the battery advantage. He's got the DRS advantage. Flashing away his Fezzo ahead. Sav though, look at the battery. Look at the power of that Red Bull as he powers by up the inside. Matthew Hall will look to get that move done as well. He gets up the inside and takes P2 from Fezzo. Oh, look up the inside. Liam Bowman using his advantage as well with the DRS, and Fezzo's going to lose out again. That's 3 positions in one straight and one corner that Fezzo has dropped. He's going to lose out that podium place to Liam Bowman on track. And Liam Bowman will see if he can just promote himself any higher and see if he can create more of a gap to the guys behind him. Might just steal some points here with Vola Kong and M Racer battling behind. They all come through the final corner though, and it's this man at the front, the championship leader PSR Saab. They've driven a fantastic race. He's managed it so well for the young Britishman. He's going to come through the final corner now. PSR Sav in the Red Bull car. 8 points to his name. 8 more for his championship lead. It's Sav that wins the USA sprint race. Matthew Hall, Holman second. Kian Booker to third. Aurelian fourth. Liam Bowman did snatch some points in the end with a 5th place. M Racer sixth. Fezzo in 7th. And Vol Kongen rounds out the point scoring positions.
That was such an entertaining end to this Grand Prix. And M Racer, Volkogen, and I think there was another driver involved in that as well. It was very close, and you couldn't really tell. It was so side-by-side action as well. Wow, sprint race complete. Driver of the day went to M Racer, but who would you give that to from what we've seen so far in this one, in the sprint race?
That was a couple of standards there, to be honest. Aurelian drove a great race to take 4th place. Kian as well. Kai jumping up into P10 as well, but if I really had to pick, I would probably have to say, I'm probably gonna say M Racer, to be honest, gaining the most positions after not a great qualifying, down in P10, gaining 4 positions, now up into P6. It was a pretty good race run there by M Racer, so I'm gonna give it to him.
There we go. It's Sav for Matthew Hall and Kian on the podium for the sprint race, with Aurelian, Liam Bowman, M Racer, Fezzo and Volkoken picking out the point scoring positions there. Then there was Louis Valentine, Kai, Mobarak, Stefano, Axe, Ryder Dahl, Rick, Baracu, Benza and Choco finish in the and Tomo, Shizu Tom, I should say, finishing the race, with PSR Max unable to finish this one. And we head over to just the information screen with the standings back up there as well, and that takes PSR Sav to 8 points, and that means 22 points clear of the.
That is 22 points clear. That is quite the margin. Yeah, 22 points clear with only a few more rounds to go. Is exactly what you want to be in a position now. Obviously, Kai, no points scored in that sprint race. Crucially, no points scored for Sav's closest championship rival. Fezzo did score though, so he will gain. I think it's only about 2. It's only 2 points though on PSR Kai, but it gives him that more of an advantage on. I'm trying to see if he can steal P2 from Kai at the end of the. Try to see a mixture of strategies currently on the screen in front of me. PSR Sav on the hard, Matthew Hall and Keen on the mediums, a couple of soft runners as well. The strategies will all be a bit different. I'll say it depends on what you pick the softer tyre balance. If you pick the balanced tyres, you get an extra set of mediums. You pick the soft, you pick the extra set of softs. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see the strategies and more of it. It's going to be interesting to see how this race really goes.
Yeah, I mean, Austin's had its fair share of safety car in the past. We'll just have to wait and see how it happens tonight. And it could go badly for some drivers. It could go not so badly for others. But I mean, what would you advise your driver to do in this race? Would you tell them to go for a bit of a harder strategies to start? Well, actually, I won't ask that because we're on track and we're nearly ready to go. We're on 5 red lights here. And away we go, and it looks like a pretty equal start between Matthew Hall and Sav as they head on down into turn 1. It's looking very, very reminiscent of the sprint race and unable to get through. But there is PSR Aurelian desperately trying to get a mix through on Matthew Hall. That is such a great start from PSR Aurelian.
Yeah, what a start early. Virtual safety car with Stefano on the wall on the left-hand side. What a start from Aurelian. He absolutely flew off the line and got a fantastic reaction start compared to the others around him. Yeah, he just had a really good start. Jumped key in there off the start. Great start though by Matthew Hall and Sav. Very clean at the turn 1. Once again by those two. Aurelian jumping key in on the start. OP Louis Valentine up 2 positions as well. Axel F1 into the points. And PSR Max 8 positions gained from last place on the grid. What a start from the other Alpha Tauri driver, teammate up in P4. That is fantastic to see from Max, already looking to get back into the points early on and seeing what he can do to keep his championship hopes alive. But virtual safety car out now. Sav and Matthew Hall getting good starts and keeping this lead ahead of them.
Yeah, looking in the background, Liam Bowman having to struggle to defend from M Racer. M Racer's, well, a change of the lead of the race. M Racer was desperate to get a move done, but it wasn't happened. But we've got Matthew Hall leading this Grand Prix. He had a better of the restarts there, and Liam Bowman managing to hold off from M Racer in the end. Kai and Axe F1 battling the way themselves, and look up the inside is PSR Max. He's desperate to go up the inside of the Williams, but I don't think he's going to have enough. He is starting though on the set of soft tyres, which could be, well, which is very much the reason why he's so much quicker at the moment. But PSR Kian is all over the back of Aurelian. Aurelian could be seeing a little bit of trouble from a PSR teammate behind him.
Yeah, no, you need to be careful of his teammate behind. 100% battery on Kian, on 95% on Aurelian. So yeah, no battery differences so far. But yeah, very good overtake by Matthew Hall on that restart. The slipstream advantage was so big compared to what Sav had. And yeah, Sav just had to accept that he was overtaken up the inside with Matthew Hall. And you can see, already gaining a bit of an advantage here. 5.5 tenths is the difference between himself and PSR Sav as they'll come through this Magnus Beckett's Chapel inspired part of the track of Sector 1. Everyone getting through nice and clean. You can see this train going all the way back from Matthew Hall and to Shizuru Tom in P17 at the back. YI Choco just a bit off it, and Mubarak as well. Early pit stop for him. I think he might have been caught up in the incident between himself and Stefano. Stefano also sadly out of this race early on. So yeah, the Aston Martin's race finished off nice and early, but down the back straight they come. It's still Matthew Hall from Sav from PSR Aurelian.
Shizuru Tom and Barracu battling away as well, but these two Alpines getting very, very close together in the first start of, or part of this lap 2. And I wonder if Fezzo tries to go up the inside of his teammate. He thinks better of it on this occasion, but he's only got, well, I say he's only got 26 laps to make a move stick. There's plenty of time for him to make a move stick in this one, but Fezzo is going to be desperate to try and get himself through, especially with the pace he's got. He could, well, I say he should be up there with Matthew Hall and PSR Sav.
Yeah, definitely. He will be up there with PSR Sav very, very soon. He'll be keeping up for as best as he can. Kane will be looking to see if he can maybe just stick a bit closer to Aurelian than he is currently, but 7 tenths back, the same as Aurelian, to the back of PSR Sav. So there shouldn't be much of a gap between them all. M Racer a bit closer to Liam Bowman now as he come through that final corner. You can see Liam Bowman not his usual pace we used to see, and usually seeing him at the front keeping ahead of everyone. P5 currently though, so still a good result if he can keep this going so far. As he had that 3-second time penalty in the sprint though, so we're looking to avoid that this time. Maybe take it a little bit more cautious through some of these corners.
PSR Max trying to get through. PSR Kai here, he's obviously got the grip at the moment and he's trying to use it to his advantage as he's all over the back of the Red Bull driver. The two PSR drivers are battling their way through, but it's not happening at the moment for PSR Max. He's only got a few laps to get those up to temperature done and dusted, as we will go up to the battle for the lead as Sav and Matthew Hall are starting to pull away a little bit. You know, next lap, it's going to be a problem for Aurelian if he doesn't stay within the DRS of the two ahead. Does Sav decide to go for the move for the lead of the race? He decides better of it and stays behind the Mercedes for the time being. And I have lost Ross for the second. So hopefully he can get himself back into this one very, very quickly. Ross, are you back?
Yeah, not sure what happened there. I think I may have just got booted out. Never mind, just carry on, keep going.
Fair enough. Sav, then it's just a little bit of a struggle through that final sector with in battle with Matthew Hall, but half a second in front of Aurelian at the moment. Aurelian saving himself with the DRS. I think that's helped him keep the position for the time being. Hopefully Choco has got himself back into there, but Matthew Hall has made a big mistake at turn 1, and Sav retakes the lead of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, good to see from Sav getting that move done into turn 1. Aurelian keeping really close to Matthew Hall as well in P2. Kean still in P4. Liam Bowman 5/10 back though from Kean in P5. I think he'll be really keeping it a little bit more cautious this time though. Gareth, picking up that early 3 second in the sprint race really harmed his chances of fighting for a podium, but this time he knows if he just keeps it clean, he can really pick up a good result and gain some points on the drivers around him in the championship. They might not be here today. The likes of Yossi, who's ahead of him, the other reserve driver who's ahead of him on more points. If he can gain a bit more on him, he can move up, maybe even into the top 10 after today. So hopefully the Scotsman can keep it clean, keep it close, and I tight at the front though. Matthew Hall looks to the inside of PSR Sav, and he does get the inside line early and gets that manoeuvre done again. It's Matthew Hall back ahead of PSR Sav.
Poor Sav, he just got past Matthew Hall and again has to find a way through, but there is a little bit of a break in it all. Fezzo's got himself up into P6. He's worked his magic through that, but there is a little bit of a gap as here comes PSR Max into P7. This is, I know he's on a different tyre strategy to everyone else, but such a solid drive. He's making them work at the moment. Leo Valentine and Volkoken and PSR Kai battling away closely as well. This has been some entertaining information coming through, I guess is the best way to describe it. But we will go back to the leaders as Sav is hoping for another mistake from Matthew Hall.
Yeah, it's just picking his moment, isn't he? PSR Sav, he's got the battery advantage compared to Matthew Hall, so he just got to try and just play his cards right and just pick his moment for when he wants to make that overtake. He's got to remember though, Aurelian and Kean behind are also just down the road a little bit, only 5/10 back on Sav currently, so this front train is really starting to pull away as Max is really struggling to stay in that train now. Those soft tyres, the drop off they're about to hit, might just be a bit too much for him to handle. He's about 8.5/10 back on Fez. He'll make that 9.5 now, so if he gets out with that 1 second range, no DRS, and he gives himself a massive threat of Louis Valentine behind with the DRS advantage.
Yeah, it's this Max is just behind over a second now. I wonder if that is going to cost him big time. There's no DRS for him, and Louis Valentine's going to get the move done up the inside, or is he? He's going to have to push PSR Max out wide a little bit as Louis Valentine, but Louis Valentine, they're still side by side as they come through 12 into 13, and Max gives a little bit of a push back to Louis Valentine, and this battling is going to mean the top 6 should break away.
Yeah, you can see the 1.2 second gap between Max and the Fezzo now. He just a bit too hard battling. Fair, very fair racing, but yeah, just a bit too hard a battle, and he's cost himself more DRS now, so even less of a chance to stay in with those used soft tyres. He's got no battery either to even try and attack with, so he's now out with the DRS officially, but he's back in now. Never mind, big mistake from Fezzo maybe, as Max is now back in well enough, about 7/10 in about now, so he's gained 3/10 for that last corner. He must have had a perfect last corner as he threw a PSR. Max got Louis Valentine for company into turn 1. Louis went very hot on the brakes. Max was for the switchback on the inside. Not a lot of space given for Louis Valentine on the inside. He's still battling away using a bit of barrier. Louis Valentine gets back through. They're still battling away. Max is trying to go side by side for the S section. It's not a usual place for overtaking. They battle away, and they do collide. They do collide. And so Louis Valentine and Max are spun around in the S's. They both dropped down into P 18 and 19.
It was more when more than if it was going to happen, but that means there is that massive split, 2.2 seconds between the two Alpine drivers in 6th and 7th place, and that was an incident in itself. And well, the stewards I think are going to love that one come the morning or this evening Let's have a look at what Sav will do. Will he can move? He thinks better of it. But it has meant PSR Kai is up into P7 and could get himself some points and not lose it too many points to his teammate in the grand scheme of things in this one.
Yeah, that was quite the collision. As I said, it's not a usual overtaking place to be going side by side in the S's, and well, that's just how it happens sometimes, and that is unfortunate for both Max and Louis. Max made up so many positions on those soft tyres, and all the progress is now gone. I'm gonna guess maybe a pit stop on its way for the AlphaTauri driver. Jumping at lap 7 though, still Matthew Hall leading the way on PSR Sab, but Sab is much closer now to the back of Matthew Hall, but he's letting off the throttle. He's not wanting to overtake Matthew Hall into turn 1, it looks like. Matthew maybe trying to invite him up the inside to make the manoeuvre for the DRS on the back straight, but yeah, no manoeuvres from Sav. He was holding off a lot on that straight. Maybe Aurelian playing the same cards. So yeah, it looks like they're all kind of playing a bit of mind games early on. Just wanting to see if they can get the DRS for the back straight and then make their overtakes.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. Mind games is a definite thing that's going on. And it's only lap 7 of 28. But if you can get into the head of someone else, live there rent-free for the race. And it could help you. Well, it could be the difference between winning a race and coming 5th. And that is what I'm sure Matthew Hall and Sav are trying to get in each other's heads right now. But that break is definitive right now, I think. I don't think it's going to be, as quick a driver as Kai is. I don't think he's going to be able to close that gap as he's now passed by Shizou Volkoken again. And it sounds like I'm saying Hulk Hogan. It's not meant to sound like that at all. But there goes Shizou Rick and Shizou Tom battling away in P12 and 13 respectively there. And I think there was a little bit of an incident with Barra Q as well, which meant Shizou Tom was able to squeeze on through.
Yeah, big battles going on all over the track. You can see that train split from Fezo and Volakong and his Alpine teammate 1.8 seconds back to his teammate ahead, 2.5 tenths back on Liam Bowman at the moment. But yeah, it's still very, very close to go. I think we should be seeing the soft runners into the pit lane in the next 2 or 3 laps or so to jump onto possibly the hard tyre. A soft tyre as PSR Max. Also, it's a 3-second time penalty to add to his sorrows early on. That collision during the first sector really kind of highlighted his race so far. He's having such a good race and then just a bit too hard battling. Yeah, it's cost him a lot of his progress gone. So, but Sav and Matthew Hall though, still both of them making it a 1-2. They've been 1-2 for the whole race, but Sav just does not want to overtake him.
No, I think Sav. I think this is purposeful from Sav. He wants to keep the drivers behind him close. Maybe use them as a little bit of a buffer later on. When he decides to undercut or overcut a driver, because that happens here as well. And I wonder if the swapping of positions between Shizou Volkoken, no, that's still not right, and PSR Kai is the reason why that gap has gone down to 1.8 seconds instead of the 2.5 it was.
Yeah, no, you're right. Volakongen, I'm gonna give that my best attempt. Seems to be doing all right, keeping ahead of Kai. Kai into P8 though, so yeah, he is still getting points, but not enough to close up the gap to his championship rival ahead, currently in P2, but probably could get P1 if he chose to, but obviously choosing not to early on. Lap 8 at 28 now for these drivers. These hard tyres will be getting into a range now where they might be getting a little bit dodgy in terms of tyre, where maybe the marble starting to affect them a bit more as well, but for the last corner they come, starting off at lap number 9 at the batters YI Choco and TF Ryder Dow battling away, and Choco has pulls himself up into P15 after a nice move on Ryder Dow around the outside. F1 also back into the points and P10 at 5 tenths as the gap between himself and M Racer 9. Got a little bit of an ERS advantage, 75% on M Racer, 92% on F1. So we kind of matching what the front runners are running, everyone else, and a little bit less trying to see if they can catch up to the front runners in that train at the front 6.
Looks like a little bit of a back end wobble there from PSR South, but he's so close to the back end of Matthew Hall that the aero is obviously disrupted through all this, but he's holding on nicely at the moment as they round, turn number 10 there, where famously not Lewis Hamilton, not even Max Verstappen, it's Sebastian Vettel who was on about, lost his Ferrari, the suspension broke on it coming through there, and it wasn't ideal for him. But again, Sav getting close, but I don't think he's going to go for the move. He's thinking better of it. He stays behind, and he's happy sitting in second for the time being on lap 9 of 28. And I think Kai is slowly now getting through Volokongan and getting himself into that 1.4, 1.6 second mark. It's slowly bringing that gap down to the front 5 drivers. And maybe it's because Matthew Hall and Sav are not pushing in the way that we would expect.
Yeah, usually see, but crucially, PSR Kai on his way back to getting into that front 6 train. 3-second time penalty for his travels on lap 9. It's taken 9 laps to get those 3 warnings. And well, crucially, that's going to cost him a lot of places as well if he doesn't seem to gain on any of these drivers. Not on the DRS, so Volokongan can stay with him pretty easily. Kai with not a lot of VRS to his name, but 30%. To be exact, Volokongan 67%, so yeah, massive battery advantage for Volokongan and PSR Kai. And well, yeah, 3-second time penalty definitely does not help the man trying to gain some points on PSR Sav this race. But yeah, nothing happening so far between everyone else. Sav and Matthew Hall still leading the front 2, and Aurelian still in P3.
PSR Kian made a massive mistake there. Not ideal at all as you're coming through any part of turns 3 to turns 8 there, and nearly got caught out by Liam Bowman. Liam Bowman is all over the back end of that, well, the diffuser of the AlphaTauri ahead of him. He's going to maybe plant a little bit more ERS usage as they head down this back straight into turn 12. Will he do anything about it? He's getting close, but again, I don't think it's going to be close enough. Does he dart to the inside? He thinks, no, not this lap. He's going to wait for a different place to make a move on the AlphaTauri in front of him.
Yeah, he's probably seen that Kian was using battery to defend from him. Doesn't want him to overtake him in this train. He knows that the position he's in right now is crucial for Kian in terms of pit stops and everything, to be ahead of Liam Bowman in case of any, overcut or undercut attempt from the Haas. So, yeah, no, very smart from Kian to use that ERS, defend from Liam Bowman, make him use his ERS as well. But still trying to make sure they don't lose any time to this train ahead. Obviously, Matthew Hall and PSR Sav still leading the way already in P3. So. But behind them, it seems to swap every other lap. Fezzle in P6, Kine now P7, Volokongan P8, and Racer P9, and XF1 rounding out the points. So we all start off at lap 11.
I'm not sure why I struggle with Volokongan's name. I think that's probably the best I've said it in the stream so far. But Liam Bowman losing a little bit of ground from Kian ahead. Fezzo's desperate now. He's the one on the front foot of all this. Aurelian struggling maybe a little bit for pace, 0.6 of a second behind Sav at the moment. Max is the fastest man on the track with a set of medium compound tyres as we stand. In your way, when would you be thinking, oh yeah, if you were the engineer for Sav in this race, or even Aurelian, when would you be telling them to pit?
It depends really. Do you want to undercut? Do you want to overcut? Do you think you might be faster than the others ahead? It really depends on what strategy you want to run. I believe all these drivers will be on the hard and medium strategy, but maybe if you want to try something else, hard soft is available to you as well. But yeah, because obviously some drivers aren't as confident on the mediums as they are as the softs, so some drivers like to run out the hard tyres a little bit longer. But you can see from just how much slower the train is going, Kai is starting to catch up to these guys ahead. And see M Racer making a move on Volokongan to go wheel to wheel through the next part of the track. Volokongan's got the inside line and keeps P8 from M Racer, who thinks about the switchback but won't be able to get that done early on, as Volokongan keeps his P8 for the moment. But yeah, no, as I said, I don't really think pit stop should be far away though for everyone in this train on the front 6. Maybe Sav might try the undercut on Matthew Hall, maybe Matthew Hall might try overcut PSR Sav. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, time is of the essence on this one. Lap 12 now of 28. And M Racer, I mentioned a fair few times in streams recently, or the races recently, that he's not currently showing, actually saying that XF1 and OP Benza are having a little bit of a set to into the hairpin of turn 1, and it's going to go side by side. Axe is desperate to keep a hold of the position, but Benza is desperate to take it. They're going to go side by side, but I think Benza's realised and remembered what happened earlier on between PSR Max and Louis Valentine in front of him, and decided, you know what, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to have an incident there, and he's backed out of it. And yeah, I can't remember where I was going initially, so we'll go back to the lead of this Grand Prix, so we can have a little bit of a change of scenery from the battling going on there, as Sav again doesn't look like he's going to do too much into Matthew Hall.
Yeah, still just not really choosing to overtake as of yet. Maybe think with inside line now, as you see, he just seems to back off and give Matthew Hall that extra space into the corner, not wanting to overtake, not wanting to give Matthew Hall any sort of DRS advantage early on. It's very, very well managed from the PSR engineers and Sav himself, just keeping it nice and clean between these two, but just picking his moment and knowing when to overtake, when to use your battery, and just to keep close as well. You can see he's very fast though and not using the battery and making anything happen as Benza and Tom go wheel to wheel through the next part of the track. Turn 17 coming up now. We keep it nice and close. Benza got the inside line at this long right-handed corner, and Benza promotes himself up into P11. Tom has a tuck in behind, but he'll have the DRS advantage coming up through the next, come through the last corner up towards the 133-foot climb into turn 1. Starting off lap 13 though, I believe this might be the first lap we could see some pit stops, Gareth.
Yeah, it's definitely the pit stop window, let's say. But as we've got Choco into the pits, as we say that, we're going to start seeing the marbles now as well. The marble effect is, I know Joseph isn't here, but they really will play havoc. We saw it in Spain, played havoc to a few drivers. It's going to happen again here. Maybe these guys will decide, I don't want to have the trouble of the marbles right at the end of the race. I want to have better tyre wear at that point. So maybe we'll see them go a little bit longer in this one. But it's all down to the engineers, really, isn't it? They're the ones going to hopefully, for the drivers, be giving the best strategies out. But Fezzo is all over the back of Liam Bowman. This could be an overtaking opportunity for both Sav and Fezzo.
Yeah, there you go then. Sav finally, after so many laps, looking at that Mercedes rear wing, he now decides, you know what, I'm going to take the lead this time and take control himself. Could this mean that PSR Sav could be into the pit lane at the end of this lap? Could maybe Aurelian follow him in to try and undercut on Matthew Hall? Will Matthew Hall just follow Sav in to cover off any sort of undercut attempt from PSR Sav? We'll have to wait and see as this big group all bangs up back together. No longer got two trains now, everyone back into the same DRS train. So now you'll see though, will Sav come around this corner, I believe, flick to the inside and go in for the pits? He does not. He keeps on going. No one seems to be going into the pit lane as of now. Never mind. PSR Kai, his teammate, instead going to the pit lane and going to be getting himself into the pit box early and getting himself onto a medium set of compound tyres. And
there is Benza, I think, joining him as well. So some of the other drivers wanting to go longer in this one. As I think that's a good move though from Kai. I think he's seen that his teammate hasn't pitted. This is a perfect opportunity to get himself a little bit higher up through the grid with a little bit of an undercut, and then maybe save and use and just be in the field a little bit. His worry though, I think his worry will be that if Sav, Matthew Hall, Aurelian and Kian and maybe Liam Bowman and Fezzo as well decide to go 2 or 3 laps longer, the tyre difference between them at the end of this is going to be so weighted heavily against him that it might cost him big time. But Sav is still trying to pull away. I think this is his in-lap because he's not let Matthew Hall have an opportunity down into turn 12.
Yeah, he's used that battery. He's been 100% for practically the last 13 laps, and now he used a lot of battery there, 40% to be exact, of his 100% battery. So now, yeah, I think you're right, Gareth. This will be his in-lap, and into the pit lane he should come. Matthew Hall possibly could be in as well. Maybe just might stay out one more lap to see if he can try and keep ahead of PSR Saab this time. Aurelian might be following in someone as well. We know that PSR Kai's already pit, so we'll have to see where he comes out in that train as well. Will he maybe get caught up in the front runners? But he does have that 3-second time penalty, so that will affect him towards the end of the race. But as you see, PSR Saab and Matthew Hall and Aurelian and Kian all into the pit box. And, well, yeah, everyone getting on the same set of tyres.
Whatever you do, I will do as well, I think was a message there from Matthew Hall as we go down the start-finish straight with Volokongan and M-Racer. And M-Racer leads this Grand Prix. Volokongan had the lead of the Grand Prix for about 1.3 seconds. Axe F1 just behind them as well. And Shazoo Tom into 4th place with Shazoo Rick just behind. But let's have a look where Sav comes out. Where is PSR Kai in all of this? Kai is going to be very, very, very happy with that undercut.
Yeah, it's worked to perfection. He's made to wheel with PSR Aurelian. I see him at the pits, but he's through on Aurelian. He promotes himself up on a provisional P3 on track. What an undercut from the PSR engineers and Kai himself. A great decision from them. And Kai now right back in this fight for a podium place. Yes, he's got a 3-second, but don't let that affect him too much, because on track, now it also feels nice so you're picking up that podium anyway, but he will be picking up good points for gaining all those positions anyway. But yeah, what an undercut it was from the PSR guys. P9 he is up to on right, but provisionally he will be P3 after after the rest of them in front of pit as well. But Sav is very close to the back, OP Louis Valentine, and he'll be getting that move done very shortly indeed. Louis Valentine on old hard tyres, Sav on the fresh mediums. Down the inside he goes, using a bit of battery, and through he goes into P6 ahead of Louis Valentine.
And crucially, they're heading into Sector 3, a little bit tight and twisty, and Matthew Hall is not going to be able to find a way through, which could give Sav a second advantage, which will absolutely infuriate Matthew Hall. And Matthew Hall is not having any of it. He's up the inside into turn number 15 there, and it's 1.2 seconds. It may have been just enough for Matthew Hall, for Sav, sorry, to have that gap to PSR Sav there. That is absolutely mental. And look at that in the background, Kai. Well, I think Louis Valentine wanted to go into the pit that lap. I don't think PSR Kai allowed him.
Yeah, I think Kai may have put Louis Valentine in a bad position there. He was kind of put into kind of nowhere to go situation. So yeah, Louis Valentine out one more time on those hard tyres. Keane rear-ending Louis Valentine though through that part of the track. Liam Bowman as well losing out just due to the fact that they got all caught out by the undercut by PSR Kai. So yeah, they've got to get a move on. But as you know, Kai, no ERS. You see, oh, and you see there, Louis Valentine. Oh, he's in the wall. And Ben's in the wall as well. I'm not sure what is happening, but that's a safety car. Oh my, I didn't catch that. I did not see what happened there between Benza and Louis Valentine. But crucially, Gareth, Axe F1 and M Racer stayed out, and they're going to have a free pit stop.
Yeah, that is huge. Absolutely huge for those two. Fair play to them. But yeah, it looked like, going back on it, it looked like there was a little bit, I want to say, Fezzo and Bowman trying to get through on the slower Louis Valentine, and OP Benza just a casualty in that. I without looking at it again, that was not ideal. But M Racer, after heartbreak last race, could we see something special from the young man this time round? With Axe F1 as well, where is Sav in all this? This is going to be interesting. How will this pan down? Will they be able to get themselves... Well, will it happen? Will we see them in the lead of this Grand Prix?
It would really make quite the spectacle of a race. They all come through the final corner now. You can see the delta is still on for these drivers, but I think it may have turned off now. The Sav is still flying on down the straight. He's still got delta. You can see M Racer making his way out the pits. Is it going to be in front? I believe he might just miss out on the lead of the race. He comes out the pit lane. It's Sav is ahead, but M Racer still gets P3 from staying out. P2 actually. Never mind. Matthew Hall to back out, given the position. M Racer 9. From staying out on track, the luck of the safety car, he's in P2, and Axe F1 is in P7.
What are we seeing here? I'll tell you what, you have joined in for this race. Well, a perfect race for this one. Lap 17 of 28. Safety car is out, and you know what? A home race for Axe F1 as well. Into P7, fresh tyres. It's only a few laps, but that could be crucial come lap 27, 28. PSR Sav with M Racer now as a blocker between him and Matthew Hall, but M Racer is no slouch either.
No, absolutely not. If you're in the top tier, you're definitely not a slow driver. And well, last week you seen it. M Racer was so clean throughout that Abu Dhabi race. He got that win from the penalty on PSR Sav, but obviously was removed by the steward. So he did take P2, but maybe this time he'll be thinking, you know what? I want the top step this time. I want to finish on the top step and get my first win in WR Tier 1. The WR Tier 2 champion last season, in Tier 1 this season. Tell you what, he's putting in an absolute brilliant performances so far. And he could be in the top 10 by the end of this race if he can get another podium to his belt.
Yeah, this is going to be... M Racer is probably loving this. He's in such a strong position, and all he needs is a good start to this safety car restart off PSR Sav. But that's the if buts and maybe question is Sav. Sav is such a good safety car restart. We've seen it in the past where he's able to bolt and cause everyone else just to be in dust. We'll have to wait and see. The safety car is probably going to come in on lap 18 by the looks of things with the traffic we've got behind it. I mean, only a couple of laps under there. We're going to have a good 11 laps of racing with everyone all back bunched up. And I wonder if we see Ryder Dahl and Mobarak come back into the pits, though, to go on to a set of medium compound tyres?
I'm not sure. I can see Barracu is into the pit lane already. Mubarak will be in the pits. He also is on the hard set of tyres. So, yeah, he's going to be into the pit lane. Barracu not taking any chances well on his tyres. So that's also an interesting one to see. I believe they will jump onto a set of soft tyres. I am correct. Mubarak onto the medium tyre, sorry. Barracu onto the soft tyre. So, different strategy being selected by the two of them. Ryder Dow also on the soft, just ahead of Barracu. So maybe these soft runners, if they can get the tyres right and maybe get a couple of overtakes involved, they could get into the points.
It just seems that little bit too long of amount of race left for those softs to last. I know it's towards the end of the Grand Prix. The cars are lighter, less fuel in there. Obviously, with less fuel in there, there's less weight on the tyres to rub off, but then the cars are going a little bit faster. They're driving a little bit more angry probably, and literally throwing the cars around the corner. So that surely is going to take its tyre life out a little bit more. I don't think softs are the right call to go on right now.
Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from there, Gareth. Obviously, we've seen the Louis Valentine in the sprint race. After about 8 laps, he was really starting to drop off in the back end of the race. But maybe, just maybe, if they can tyre manage these a bit nicer than they did in the sprint. You know, it's pretty much just one lap less than the sprint for Barracu and Ryder Dow. So, yeah, it'll really be interesting to see where these drivers can come out. M Racer, obviously, biggest gainer from this safety car, up in P2 after being practically P5, P6 all race. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Safety car is in this lap. Everyone will be heating up their tyres, getting themselves sorted for the safety car restart. When will PSR Sav go? Let's all find out.
It is all down to this man. Sav is the de facto safety car as of right now. He's got to let that safety car get around though, because he doesn't want to go too soon. He needs to. Well, it's all about time, finding the right time and moment, but it's looking very even at the moment. There goes the safety car through turn 19, and look at the build up of cars here as the lead car, Sav, decides to just trundle around. He doesn't want to leave it too late, and he's decided to go now, but he's not really lost M Racer or Matthew Hall as they come at the exit of turn 19 through turn 20, and Sav leads us around for the 19th time here in the Circuit of the Americas, and Matthew Hall is trying to find a way through M Racer, but someone that has been left behind a little bit is Kai in the background. He's just dropped a little bit from the leaders.
Yeah, well, yeah, he has also got the oldest medium tyres compared to everyone else. That 1 lap undercut on all the other runners from that original pit stop has helped him gain positions. Obviously now in P4, he was originally net P3, but that safety car helping out M Racer dropped him back just that 1 place. But you can never ever doubt PSR Kai. You know how fast he can be. Today maybe has been slightly off in terms of pace, but never count him out of fighting away for a race win. M Racer's closing up a lot on PSR Sav as he'll jump onto the back straight now. Could we see M Racer go for the lead early on PSR Sav? He's using a bit of battery on exit. Sav trying to see if he can burn from M Racer. Matthew Hall maybe see if he can get past M Racer back into P2, battling away with PSR Sav for the race win. But looks like no manoeuvre so far as they'll just start off the safety car restart.
Axe and Kian then side by side as they go into turn 12. Who is going to get the move done? It's Kian at the moment, but they're still side by side. Axe will have the inside as they come through turns 13 and 14, but the inside will then swiftly move to Kian's side as they head through turns 15, but they're still side by side. Axe is holding in there as they come to the long right-hander, and it's going to be the Williams driver surely with that little bit extra pace up the inside, but Kian's desperate to hold on as well. He's got to be in there in the inside of turn 19. There's a little bit of contact, and Kian's gone off the track, and Liam Bowman's made a move stick there as well, and Fezzo up the inside, and there's contact between the two of them as well, and there's Shazoo Tom trying to get in on the action as well. There has been plenty to talk about in that final sector alone, and Shazoo Tom surely he's going to go up the inside into turn 1. He thinks better of it, or does he? He's going for it, but Fezzo just losing out the back end a little bit, and Tom's had to move, pull out of the move a little bit, and Kian down into 10th place.
Yeah, it was just that accident for and Kian battle. Just Kian just didn't deserve to be on the inside there. It was just very, very, just too needy and trying to get that place on Axe F1. Well, that was, I would really have to say that was Kian's fault and not backing out and giving the position to Axe F1. It would have been free if they just gave him the position. He would have still been in the DRS of Axe F1 when it gets activated in the next lap or two. But yeah, great battle into turn 1 there with 3 wide into turn 1. Kian thought about trying to hold it, but Fezzo went so hot on there, but he's at the front now. Racer does get the lead of the race on PSR Sab, but Sab might fight it back up the inside into the next corner. But I think we're going to be back to the usual PSR Sab, sitting behind the man in front, keeping his battery until the very last few laps where he'll be making the overtake and just keeping ahead of Racer. But don't be counting out just yet though. Matthew Hall still in about that fight as well with Sav and Racer, only 5/10 back on Sav currently.
Volkogan, well, there we go. Volakongan and Ryder Dahl switching positions a little bit further back as well. Mobrak getting past Rick through all that, but wow, we've had our fair share of incidents today. A little bit of controversy, but that is always here. Always what you kind of expect. Racer then deciding to really put the hammer down a little bit in the Ferrari. 0.8 of a second clear of Sav. He's decided that he's not going to hang around. He doesn't want to play any games. He's going to go for it. And I don't think Matthew Hall was expecting it, because he's now struggling to keep up with Sav.
Yeah, I don't think Sav is better either. 9/10 is the gap between Racer and PSR Sav. I think Racer needs to have that big straight line speed advantage compared to PSR Sav. 9/10 is the gap. Sav must be in the DRS of Racer, but he's not. He's just dropped out, but he's back in. It's going to be so close to the DRS line, which comes up very, very shortly. Indeed, it looks like Sav might just get back in that line. He'd have to use a lot of battery, though, to get back into that DRS range. Matthew has been dropped out of the DRS range. He luckily gets it for being in when the line came, but Kai is also dropped out. He couldn't keep up with that front 3-pack either. So what a turn of events. Racer really pulling the strings here with the other two. Sav having to use his DRS along with Matthew Hall. Racer though is now flashing away with DRS with 7 laps to go. That's not where you want to be. But Aurelian up the inside of PSR car, he gets that move done and promotes himself up into P4.
I'll tell you what, with all what we've learned from this race, Racer's just come in and thrown a grenade in there and gone, I don't care, I want to do things my way, and he's done it, and it's given us something massive to talk about on lap 21. It might have cost him a little bit, but look at that. Matthew Hall, 1.6 seconds behind Sav. That is huge. Sav only just holding on to the back end of that Ferrari at the moment. It's 0.7 of a second. Racer has done this brilliantly.
We've played his car to perfection. You can see Sav having to use that rest of his battery to try and get back in with Racer as well. But look at the gap between Matthew Hall and PSR Sav, 1.8 seconds. That is incredible to see how much Racer just controlled what these two have had to do. You know, Matthew Hall got a little bit more battery, but not enough to really make any overtakes. 1.9 seconds, make it 2 seconds now between Sav and Racer. So yeah, massive moment in this race. Matthew Hall's got to try and get a move on, put everything he can into that Mercedes car to try and get himself back into that race winning position. 7.5 though is the gap between Racer and PSR Sav. Racer will try his best to gain as much DRS as possible during these last few laps, but DRS advantage is still with PSR Sav. Yeah,
Racer's done. He may have just handed Sav the victory, but he's flashing as he comes down into turn 12. But he is on two laps fresher tyres. That's the big thing here. Axe F1 dispatching Kai. Don't count out Axe F1 here. He's doing a really good job drifting around turn 12 nearly. Is the Williams driver, but he's holding station at the moment. Aurelian 1.5 seconds behind Matthew Hall, but that gap is absolutely telling. 2.035 seconds between PSR Sav and Matthew Hall. You could barely separate them in the first stint. In the second stint, well, this is technically the second stint, and it's a 2.1 second gap. Racer has completely changed this race, turned it on its head, and, well, blown it up.
Yeah, exactly. To see, tell you what though, big respect to Racer. He's made it an absolute competition for PSR Sav. He is not making his job easy as he usually is. You know, that last stint on the hard tyres was just a case of just, you know, sitting behind, picking your moment with the RS advantage he had and just getting past. But now, he's got to work for it. He's got to stay in that gap between himself and Racer. I tell you what, Racer's looking really, really fast on those medium tyres. 2 laps fresher than PSR Sav. So he's probably got about, maybe, you know, 3 to 6% more, less wear, to Racer tyres to Sav. Sav almost dropped at the DRS once again. He's having to burn, and I'll tell you what, he's practically matching Racer on ERS. 15% for Sav, 10% for Racer. So Tell you what, Gareth, this really could be M Racer's first time on the top step.
This, I mean, this is nuts. M Racer is doing an absolutely fantastic job here. And you know what? Fair play to him if he does. Fair play to Sav if he manages to overcome a huge test in M Racer. M Racer is doing an absolutely incredible job.
He really, really is. What a performance it'll be. You know, also you could say he got the luck of the safety car, but this drive will be exceptional anyway for the last 8 laps by M Racer. You know, he was behind at the safety car. He got that moved on the second lap after the restart. Well, he just kept it so good ever since. He's actually got more ERS now than PSR Sav. This has really turned this race on its head. 3.5 seconds shows PSR Sav and M Racer. So if Sav, you know, decides, you know what, I'm going to push the limits a bit here and get a 3 second, he's still got a gap to Matthew Hall behind, who I think just, you know, decided his fate that, you know what, P3 is looking like the best result he can get, unless there's a collision ahead, which I really doubt will happen between these two, because they will keep it very clean and knowing that they can still get good points for both of their championship charges, especially for Saf, who's getting loads and loads of points on his big championship rival being PSR Kai, who's down in 8th place with a 3-second time penalty that will drop him outside of the points.
Yeah, that's going to be the huge talking point from this one. But Sav, again, 9/10 of a second behind M Racer. M Racer really pushing it through all this. And, you know, this is a big test for Sav, because all it takes is him to do, push his tyres onto the marbles just that little bit too much. I'm bringing up the M word. And that's going to cost him. Sav's got to play it smart right now.
You're right, he's got to be smart with everything. Every time that he uses has got to be for a reason. He's got to make sure that he's got more ERS and the DRS advantage but on M Racer during these last few laps. He's closed that gap up now. He's gained about 3/10 on this lap than last time. This time last lap he was about 8.5 tenths back. 5 tenths the gap this time. Maybe now Sav realises, you know what, if I just keep this close, I can really get this overtake done on the final few laps. 4 more laps to go though. We've got a nice little 4 racing lap sprint towards the end of the race. PSR Sav v M Racer. Get your predictions in the YouTube chat. Who is going to take this victory in Texas?
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely huge. Sav is close though. 4.4 seconds though is Matthew Hall. Matthew Hall has to worry about Axe behind him. Shazoo Tom is in 5th place. He's done a fantastic job as well. Take nothing away from the Aston Martin driver. But look at Sav. For the first time since the safety car, he is all over the back of M Racer. And I say for the first time since the safety car, he was in front at the safety car. M Racer it was 9/10 of a second this time last lap. M Racer now has got a 3/10 of a second gap between him and Sav.
This could be the moment though for PSR Sav to regain the lead on lap 25 of 28. He's got that DRS advantage on M Racer 9. M Racer can try and defend for all he's got, but it won't be enough. That Red Bull pushing all of its power through he goes, but Sav lifting off once again, but I don't think he's going to wait anymore. He does wait. I thought he wasn't going to wait. Look to the inside. Never mind, he does wait. And he does, Axe F1 moves into P3 after that safety car helped him out. He's jumped up into the podium places, getting by Matthew Hall, getting by Shazoo Tom, and well, Axe F1, I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted to be taking a podium place if we can walk away with this so far.
Yeah, Axe F1 in his home Grand Prix here at WOR at Circuit of Americas. He is 4.8 seconds away from Sav for a second place. I don't think that's going to be on the cards, but he is on the podium at the moment. Matthew Hall is going to give as good as he can get to try and get that back. We see how good those 2 laps are fresher tyres, because M Racer's doing a fantastic job at the moment, but Matthew Hall will be absolutely fuming there in 4th place. It's just not done what he is meant to tonight.
Yeah, you know, when you seen Sav and M Racer battling away, you thought, you know what, Matthew Hall trying to stay with them as best as he can, make sure he's in about that battle, but it's just not happened for him, has it? He's been dropped by them, and he just knew that he couldn't get back into that gap. But he can still take a podium here. He definitely can still take a P3 podium, which is still good points for his championship charge, and trying to take P2 off of Kai, who's going to be out of the points after that 3-second time penalty is applied at the end of the race. So Yeah, Matthew Hall looking to see if he can pick up 15 points in the end, which will still be a great points haul for the Mercedes driver. His teammate Mubarak currently not having great luck down in P11, but got caught up in some incidents, but up in P11, battling away for that final point position with Vola Coy, and they'll jump onto the back straight. PSR Sav closing and closing again, but again, still not overtaking the Ferrari. 2 more racing laps to go there. Matthew Hall very close to the back of XF1. He also is playing the same tactic as Sav and sitting behind right on the gearbox of XF1 through that hairpin.
Choco and Kian and Ryder Dahl in the background as well. I was just trying to keep on board with any sort of action that's going on because there's so much happening here at Circuit of the Americas as we round turn number 15 into 16 into the long right-hander for the 26th time for XF1 as Mubarak picks up a penalty. Sav then still behind M Racer at this moment in time. It could be a carbon copy of last week. But this time, M Racer taking the victory. It's these two at the top again. M Racer's had a little bit of luck, but sometimes you need to get the luck. Well, you need to use the luck that is given to you, and he is using it at the moment. It's on the penultimate lap, lap 27 of 28, and Sav still can't find a way past the Ferrari of M Racer. XF1 leading Matthew Hall in P4 as well, with Shizou Tom following suit, and that's going to be Shizou Tom's best result of the season. So that's going to be great for Shizou Tom as well. And even Shizou Tom could sneak into a podium if things turn out his way.
Yeah, you cannot count out Tom just yet. Ryder Dahl, 3-second time penalty during the back end of this race. I'm sure his race is far from over, but yeah, I think he'll finally confirm himself as out of the points now. Down in P14, those soft tyres, as you said, Gareth, just didn't seem to work. They were just too long to take them. Yeah, 10 laps was just too far to take those. A medium tyre would have been a much more appropriate choice, but they all carry on down the straight though. Sav still once again not closing on M Racer, and I tell you what, Sav has gained a lot of VRS in the last 3 laps. He's going to be into the 40%, M Racer into the 25%, and they jump onto the last lap. It's Kai and Fezzo are battling away still. Fezzo just getting the inside line now through the next corner. Kai giving him not a lot of space, they bang wheels as Kai is forced into some sort of slide. He saves it as Fezzo who's to hold it around the outside, but Kai will have the much better line into the corner and gets his P8 back with a 3-second time penalty. Fezzo will actually gain that, will inherit that position after the penalties apply, but he thought, you know what, I might try to get it on track anyway.
There's so much going on as we head into the final lap of the race. It's been absolutely insane. Sav is all over the back of M Racer. Is M Racer trying to goad Sav into taking the position into that? I think he is. This is a dangerous game they're playing because XF1 is not going to hang around if he catches up. Through turns 3 to 6 they now come. And Matthew Hall is all on the back of XF1, but this is still not over yet between the two of them. The lines that Sav and M Racer take through turns 8 and 9 are completely different. This is going to be crazy. We've had DRS games in the past talking about Shadow and Alfie at Imola way back in season 11 is the one that really comes into my head. But look at this, a little bit of weaving between M Racer and Sav. Is it going to be enough though? I don't think it is. Up the inside goes Sav on M Racer. There's nothing he can do. M Racer tries to go back up the inside. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them. Sav is off the track. M Racer's desperately in there, and M Racer is throwing it back up the inside, and this is absolutely insane. M Racer is desperate for the win. They are battling away, and Matthew Hall is catching. Can M Racer do something around the outside as they head through turns 16 and 17? I don't think it's going to be enough. Sav has just done enough as they head on through. At the exit of turn 18, there's not going to be anything up the turn of 19. And Sav, he's had to work for it. He's had to work so hard for it, but he's going to take victory both in the sprint race and in the feature race. And M Racer, what a drive from him, and Matthew Hall rounding out the podium positions.
What a final battle that was. I tell you what though, might be a little bit controversial with that move back over from Sav to defend the line late, but what a race. 2 races in a row now for PSR Sav. It's 2 in a row for race wins for PSR Sav. He won the sprint race. He wins the real race. That's a massive points haul in his charge for the crossplay tier 1 title. Fantastic stuff by PSR Sav, and congratulations to M Racer, but heartbreak, you could say, once again on the last lap. He's lost out this time on his first place, but I'm sure he'll be happy. 2 podiums in a row, 2 second places. Maybe next week might be his time to shine. A great race overall by Matthew Hall as well, taking that podium from Axe F1 and P5, but P Aurelian actually got promoted into, that's the overall weekend results, my mistake, but yeah, Axe F1 took P4 from P13 on the grid. What a drive it was. A safety car luck really did pay off for him. Shazoo Tom as well from P19 on the grid to P5. What a drive from Tom. PS Aurelian P6. Liam Bowman P7, Fessel and Keane in 8 and 9, and PSR Kai, luckily with a 3-second anyway, managed to take 1 point for the road.
Absolutely nuts, that. And Sav then taking victory. M-Racer, your heart goes out to him. So close, just not enough in the end. And Matthew Hall with an incredible battle back to Axe F1, and fair play to him. The two drivers, Sav and Matthew Hall, who had the older tyres out of the two pretenders, I suppose you could say, in M-Racer and Axe, managed to get back on those guys. But both, well, Shazoo Tom up into P5. What a result from him, from 19th on the grid. Who would you give driver of the day to Ross?
I think just based on positions gained, I think it's got to be Axe F1 or Shazoo Tom. I think probably overall Tom. 13 positions gained from that P19 start. That is a fantastic way to really give yourself some good points. A top 5 finish is always what you want to see from these drivers. Well, yeah, I think personally for me it's going to be Tom. Who do you think, Gareth?
I mean, both Tom and Matthew had Tom and M-Racer had a little bit of luck to their sides. I don't know which one I would give it to, but you know what? I'm going to side with Shazoo Tom just because, yeah, it's a shame we don't see him towards the top here at the crossplay ones, and it's nice to see him up there. We saw him make some good moves, but take nothing away from M-Racer's race, because that was absolutely incredible from him, managing nearly to hold off a very I don't want to say aggressive, because that sounds like he was aggressive on track, but he was just determined, a determined Sav. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. It was fair. He's trying to be as fair as possible. Last start, tensions are high. You want to get that win for M-Racer. You could maybe say that it was a late move by Sav, but I think again, Racer will say he knew what he was doing. He had to go up the inside. He wanted to get that manoeuvre done, but it just wasn't meant to be for the German, unfortunately. But 2 second places in a row for M-Racer gives him a massive charge for finishing in the top 5 in the standard, which is, as a driver, you want to be finishing as high up as possible. Maybe a late title charge could be a bit too much to add. But yeah, what a race from M-Racer. Double 2 hauls of 18 points for the German. I think that might move him up into around the top 10 now. So yeah, very well done to the top 5. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, he was P6 and 47 points. Matthew Hall had on 52, so I think Matthew Hall will be jumping Fezzo and Kai as well. So yeah, overall a fantastic race for all the top 5.
Definitely for him, but we'll have to wait and see for certain on that one. We won't. I don't think we'll do a. I don't think anyone's jumping into the waiting for interview room here tonight. So your final words from that one. We'll go with that, Ross, for tonight.
Yeah, just overall a really good race. It's not one of those tracks where overtaking is very much primary. Down the back straight, use a big massive DRS train, just a lot of DRS gains. We did see that, but I've got to say, I need to say thank you to M-Racer. He made that so interesting in the end. That use of the ERS, he just knew he had to try and break the DRS to Sav. In the end, he didn't do it. He lost out, but I'm sure he'll be happy. Give himself a pat on the back for that, because that was a great performance. And thank you to everyone tuning into the stream all around the race. The short quality, the sprint in the race was a fantastic watch. I've got to say thank you to Luke and Joseph for the opportunity today as well.
No, well, thank you for stepping in. It was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having you alongside me for this one. And what a race to be alongside as well. Absolutely insane, to say the least. And you've done a fantastic job filling in tonight, and hopefully see you at the upper ends of these ones more often as well. But from the Circuit of Americas, we take a break week from Crossplay Tier 1. There will be plenty of action still to happen. Do not forget, throughout WOR, it is a break week though, and then there is the final 4 rounds of the season remaining Las Vegas is currently still on the calendar for 2 weeks' time. And this is going to be an interesting one, and definitely going to be entertaining to watch it. If it goes ahead, I'm desperate for it to go ahead. It's going to be carnage. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have enjoyed. From myself and from Ross, who's done a brilliant job tonight. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.